Stay focused, man.
I'm just saying.
Focus, man.
We good.
I want us to do the right thing for this client.
All right, y'all. We are here with another episode of the RealT podcast, and today we got an distinguished
We've been
guest.
waiting for this.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some amazing people on, but I am excited about this episode right here. Because we have the one and only Jonathan Evans. Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, boy, yeah. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. Jonathan, you have so many things going on, right? I couldn't even finish the bio, right? So, in a little quick shot, give us a little quick summary of the many facets of Jonathan Evans.
So first, family first. You know what I mean? So I've been married for 17 years. I met my wife, Kanika.
Just like Tanika, I love it.
Met my wife, Kanika, at Baylor University, so I went to Baylor. And then now we have 5 children. So with 5 children, that's busy enough, right? All the sports, 14 to 4. So from teenagers to touching stuff.
How's that boy, girl, how's the mix?
So I have girl, boy, boy, girl, girl.
Got it.
Okay, so the boys are sandwiched in between all of the bosses. And so that's fun for us. My wife, we do half homeschool, half school. So my wife homeschools all the time. She's a physical therapist by trade, but she decided to come home to do the better thing. Get these kids in line.
Give it up for Kanika.
Right? Yeah, no doubt about it. So we do that. I'm also helping my dad in the ministry at the church. And so I do ministry full time. I'm the executive pastor for Next Gen. I also do sports chaplaincy. So I've been the chaplain for the Cowboys now for 12 years. And I did the Mavericks for 5 years. Nice. And so I played in the NFL for 5 years. So just to be able to go back and give back has been great for me. You know, and then my wife always gets on to me because I got 90 jobs.
At least.
You got to provide. You got to make it work. Right?
That's exactly right.
And so I do, I've got, 3 or 4 books out, you know, something like that. I did 2 with my dad, and then I have 3, another one coming out. So
do you have a children's book too? I think I see that.
I have a children's book. I have a children's book and a cartoon series. And so my whole family is a part of a cartoon series called Story from the Storyteller. And then your real estate on the side.
What?
You know what I mean? So busy enough. Busy enough. Yeah. So one of my key things now is just to try to figure out how to say no so I can say yes to the right things.
Yeah.
And so working.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot. But when you're gifted and blessed, you find the strength to do it.
That's right. Got to.
How do you prioritize that? I mean, because I'm sure ministry with Dr. Evans has been phenomenal. I want to know what it's like growing up with your parents.
Yeah, well, for me, I get that all the time. You know, Tony and Lois Evans. But I didn't know anything different. Yeah. You know, as a kid growing up in the house, I didn't know anything different. But now as an adult, you look back and you realize how blessed you are.
Ooh.
To be able to be at that table and get the crumbs. And the crumbs from that table is a full meal. And so just being able to learn from them, learn the blueprints, try to replicate those in my own family, and to realize that everything that we did was based on truth, and that the people on the stage were the same people in the house. Yeah. I think that's what messes up a lot of kids, especially preachers' kids, is when the people on the stage are something different at home.
Right. And
you see the issues, the dichotomy, and the hypocritical nature of those types of things. And so no matter what you do, if you're not doing it 100%, it's going to throw somebody off. Yeah. And so that's what it was like looking back. Just consistency and something that you want, a legacy you want to pass on.
Right.
Most people are trying to start a new legacy, trying to change things, trying to make things better or different. I'm trying to make sure we keep what we got, at least. So definitely blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Yeah. So you decide you want to be a football player. Right? All right, Daddy, I'm not doing this ministry thing.
Oh, no doubt.
I'm doing this football thing.
Well, first for me, it was basketball. See, I didn't wasn't interested in any other sport. At the time, I wanted to be like Mike, like everybody else. Yeah. And I was pretty good. I was in junior high, averaging 17 points a game. I mean, I was doing pretty good. But when I got to high school, I had knee surgeries in high school. Okay. What I didn't realize is that I had a hereditary issue from my mom, that I had a hole in my cartilage in both knees and both shoulders in the same exact location.
Wow.
Doctor said he's never seen it before. He said it must be a birth defect, right? Something you got. So he did a scope on me and he said, you no longer can play basketball. You're done. I was a sophomore in high school. So you're at 15 and you're like, what do you mean I'm done playing basketball? So I went to football just because he told me you can't play basketball, but you can play football.
Oh, he did say that.
Yes. Which is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yes, that was weird. I said, what? So he did say that. And the reason why is because of the surface was hurting my knees. He said, if you have a soft surface, you'll be fine. Hadn't had a problem since.
Wow.
So I go to play football, and I play it as a default sport. And
And play in the NFL?
Yeah.
I played it as a default. I said, I guess I'll go. I got to do something. I don't want to. So, but then I began to use football as a way to stay away from what my dad did. So I was a default sport, became good at it. But then as I got older, I was like, okay, I'm going to blaze my own trail using this football thing. Because no one wants to be Michael Jordan's son and go try to play for the Bulls. That's not a good idea, right? So, you know, my dad being who he is, I didn't want to try to replicate that because you can only lose over there. But God had other plans. God has been instrumental in changing things, like that basketball thing, just changing things to try to. He had other plans, and so I ended up going to seminary, long story short, and then being where I am now. So,
You can run, but you can't hide.
Can't run, can't hide.
So we have a lot of people that watch us that are entrepreneurs, right? And we like to tie the segments a little bit in what I say real life, the transitions, and then that entrepreneur piece, right?
Yeah.
So take us back for a second. You're playing football.
Mhm.
You get to a point where the football thing just isn't going to work out.
That's right.
Right. And so now you're in a transition period. Now you're in a, what am I supposed to do? What is that moment? And then how do you move through that? Because your whole thing was...
One track mind.
Yeah.
One track mind, and then you realize that you have to make you have to lift spiritually, you have to lift physically, financially. And then now I have a family to support. I'm no longer in the NFL. That's over. I got to keep things going. So I got to figure out where do I want to go and how do I want to get things done. For me, I've always been a little bit of a risk taker. I think I was trying to find something that made me feel like I was running out of the tunnel again, at least from a purpose standpoint.
Sure.
You know, being able to communicate God's word is one thing, but I also wanted to make sure that I could set my family up the way that my dad's tried to set us up. And in ministry, when I came from the NFL, the ministry is missing a lot of commas. I'm like, this is great. I feel the purpose in it, but I want to be able to provide. Bible says have multiple streams of income. And so one of the things that I looked at after being young, trying a lot of different things, was real estate. Just became an important vehicle for me to begin to look at and dive into and research and try to figure out the best way to dive in and get into it. And I just became, you know, a turtle wins the race guy. You know, I wanted to set my family up without relying on the government. I don't believe we'll have Social Security at my age when we, you know, so I had to figure it out my own and do that. And so what I wanted to get into was rental properties. I got into rental properties, single family homes. As I was first getting started, then I realized that wasn't the way to go for me. I needed to get into multifamily because multifamily actually, if I can get multiple renters under one mortgage, that's probably gonna be better than, you know. So I just was figuring out how to start. And I realized that my first purchase from a financial standpoint, the best investment I was gonna make was my first home. My first home was gonna get me started because I didn't have a lot of money. I was trying to figure things out, me and my wife and my daughter. And we bought then in 2008. And you know, everybody was running. I was like, maybe you buy low. So I was just figuring it out. But I didn't really know. And I was just thinking, it's scary. Every house in the, probably 50% of the houses in that neighborhood were foreclosed at the time. And I was just like, and she was like, are you sure? You know, nobody. So that was the mindset. The mindset was, how do I figure out my purpose? What God is calling me to do? How do I provide for my family? How do I get the feeling of running out of the tunnel? Taking risks for me was important because without risk, there's no reward. That was my coach. I hear that my coach saying that to me after I was finished playing.
Yes.
And so then I just kind of dove in with that perspective and kind of went from there.
So taking real estate, what are the nuggets that you're sharing with your kids right now? When they see dad and mom out here buying up multiple properties, how do you infuse them into that whole thing?
Oh yeah, well, they drive, but they go with me.
Yeah.
They go with me, they go walk the properties, they go see what I'm trying to do, what the goals are, what the purchasing price is, if I'm going to sell it, what I'm trying to sell it for, what the profit is based on how much I'm putting in. So I take him into it. I also play Monopoly with him.
Mm.
So my dad growing up, he would, he raised us around the table.
Okay.
He said the Jewish father would not use the table for eating, but also for leading.
Mm.
So he said, he asked my mom to cook for 2 reasons. Number one, because he couldn't cook, and number two, because he couldn't cook. And so she would set the table, and he would use that to lead. One of the things he would do is often use a. You want me to pause?
No, you keep going. I'll work on that.
One of the things he would do is he would use Monopoly to teach us.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would pull out different board games, but Monopoly, and so he would teach us ownership, and whoever owns wins.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our money would be migrating to him all the time. We thought he was losing his money.
But no.
But he was investing.
What a great and valuable lesson
Right.
to teach your kids.
Yeah, so that's what kind of brought me back around as an adult. Like,
Mhm.
I need to own, because whoever owns wins the game. And if I own, then money just keeps coming, and cash flow is better than cash in hand.
Yes, absolutely.
So just learning that, and then kind of doing that. We play Monopoly with our kids. So I'm just trying to redo that mindset.
Right.
Take them out,
Legacy.
put them in. Yeah,
Mhm.
no doubt about it.
So Kanika, let's talk about how Kanika, mom, super mom actually,
Yeah,
multitasking, just like you in the tandem, because we work together all the time. So I know working together sometimes has some sort of nuances. So I'm interested to know how you all partner together. Does she handle mostly the homeschooling and stuff in the business, or is she in the business with you as well?
Yeah, so Kanika handles the family business the most. What I mean is the children,
Mm-hmm.
making sure things are taken care of there, because I wouldn't be able to do what I do at all
No, right.
if she wasn't doing. So the homeschooling, she's making sure that we're organized. She's making sure she's actually the penny pincher out of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I do spending money.
Yeah, you sound
She's
like him. Yeah.
we need to make sure financially she keeps me on my toes there. She's a physical therapist, so she keeps us all straight.
Mhm.
She's also kind of as the doctor of the family, so she keeps us all healthy.
Mhm.
She runs the schedule for all of the kids and their activities, and making sure that everything's itemized. So she is the administrator of all of the life
Mhm.
that happens. When it comes to the business side, she likes to know what's happening in general, but she doesn't want to get into it specific.
No. Mm-mm.
Because I got too many.
Yeah.
I got too many details
Mhm.
over here to handle.
Mhm.
She said to me, whenever I go to the gas station, make sure the card works. Whenever I go to the grocery store, make sure the card works. Whenever I go over here to buy these school supplies, I just need the card to work. I don't need to know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, right. And then, and so I do the best I can to take care of. She's a worker.
Yeah.
Her love language is service.
Mhm.
She's a task-oriented person. So what I do from a marriage perspective is I have to make sure that I'm the one who stops, plans the dates, plans the vacations.
Mhm.
Because if I didn't plan it, she would be working.
Yeah.
Oh, she's head down
Mhm.
working. So it's my job to pick her head up and say,
Yeah.
hey, we got a marriage here. Let's bring it in. And she really appreciates that too. So we just have to work together, consider each other's personalities, not as a bad thing, but as a good thing, and then work together to try to make it all work. That's how we do it.
So in one of your social media reels, you talked about how when you were getting married and your dad sent you down, and talking about, so you're the head of your house, right? You're like, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, right. You're like, so that means you head servant, right?
Yeah.
So talk us through, for those that may not have seen it, and if you're not following Jonathan, he's going to give you the way to follow him. You definitely need to follow his content.
Yeah.
But tell us that storyline again. When
Yeah.
he was talking about if that list is longer than her.
No doubt about it. So my dad, he sat me down and he talked about being the head of the household, and he asked me that question. So you think you're the head of the household? And I was like, yeah, that's the way it's going to be. I mean, that's what you taught me to be. And he said, well, let me tell you what that means, because most men mess stuff up because they don't know what that means. He said it means that you're the servant, you're the sanctifier, and you have the most sacrifice. So if you're the head of the house, like Christ is the head of the church, well, he served, he sacrificed, and he sanctified. So it doesn't mean boss. It doesn't just mean domineering. It doesn't just mean you get to make all the decisions. He said, so all that stuff you doing now? So he said, if her list of service is longer than yours, she's leading you, you're not leading her.
Mm.
And he says, Christ came to serve, not to be served, but to give. So you got to understand that your being the head of the household means you must be the biggest giver. And if you're not the biggest giver, you ain't leading nobody, right? And so I had to learn that, and you have to learn, that's a humbling thing. You have to learn to humble yourself to make sure that you're not trying to be a husband the culture's way, but you're trying to be the husband Christ's way.
Yeah.
And it's inverted. It's inverted. It's upside down, but it's right side up.
Yes, right.
Right. And so I think that's been a big benefit, just to being married well, is to learn how to lead well by example, by being a giver, by being a servant, by asking, what do you need? How can I help? How can I make sure that you're okay? And serving that way. And what that has done, I'm the first one to apologize. If we have conflict, I'm going to apologize, because sanctifier, I'm supposed to keep this thing riding, right? So what that has done is created an environment where she can feel secure, she can flourish, she doesn't mind what the Bible is calling her to do, because she's like, this is not a competition.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're just rolling together. We're playing our roles. We figured out what positions we play on the team, and we're running together and serving each other and giving to one another. So it's been great. Great 17 years, gone by too fast.
And your kids see that, and now they know what a godly marriage is supposed to be like.
Yes, and that's what we're hoping.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping. We have conflict in front of them, because we want them to see conflict and conflict resolution and love after conflict. We just we don't try to hide anything. We try to keep it in front of them, and so that they know what it is. And then, they try to take that blueprint. All we can do as parents is be good examples, teach them, and pray for them. I think sometimes I get caught up in, let me put them in the best environment to try to manipulate an outcome. Well, you can spin your way to frustration, because that doesn't necessarily work. It doesn't mean you don't try, but God put Adam and Eve in a perfect environment as perfect people. They still messed it up.
Yeah.
That doesn't make them a bad father. It just means they made a bad decision. So I tried my best to do those things. Be a good example. Teach them, pray for them, and then let God have it.
Yeah. How do you balance all of the responsibilities and still find time for Jonathan?
Yeah,
Right.
that's important. I think what people don't do is they schedule the meetings, they schedule the appointments, they schedule the podcasts. They don't schedule the dates. They don't schedule their off times. They don't schedule rest, relax, restore. They don't schedule their quiet times to make sure that that's just as important as all the business stuff. So then that gets left on the back burner, and then you end up being burned out. And so what I try to do is schedule. We have a schedule. Me and Kanika have a schedule of our date nights. I plan our vacation 6 months ahead. Like, all of those things are very important to us. So we just prioritize.
But you
So
just
that's one
missed
of
the
the big
question.
rocks.
He said, what do you do for you?
Oh, prioritize.
For you.
Oh, for what I do
For Jonathan.
Okay, so for me, it's real simple. For me, it's real simple. Most mornings, not every morning, I take a walk with my word, and I just read, because I want to start with some serenity. So most mornings I do that. For me, it's still date night. That's for me. That's for us. But I love it. I love planning our date nights. I love that's a look forward to for me. So I do that. So I get that. My studying in is good, and then my walking, and then I work out 3 times a week. I have a trainer that comes over. And actually, it's for me and Kanika. We work out together. I actually do want to do that right after this. Because I want to make sure that I'm healthy spiritually, healthy physically, healthy financially. I just want to make sure I'm healthy.
Yeah.
I just came back from the store, shop at Whole Foods. I do that by myself. I love that.
For your getaway.
Yep. I'll take that. And I'm just slow. It's mindless for me. I'm just kind of in the garden, going over here getting things. But it's all good stuff. I'm trying to eat good. So I'm just trying to have a life of just trying to make it the best I can. So that's what I do. I just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Well, you come from an amazing family. Your siblings are doing their thing. I would love to hear how you guys get together. What's a get together with the Evans siblings?
So we do once a month.
Good.
And we do every first Sunday. Every first Sunday we go to church,
Mhm.
then we go to my sister's house and we're all there and she has this big spread and all the kids there, my dad's grandkids, great-grandkids. So the house is just full in the summers during the pool and we do it every single month. So 12 times a year we're together.
That's
Wow.
As an
phenomenal.
entire
Isn't that
family.
amazing?
That is
I love it.
amazing.
Mhm.
I don't see my sisters that much.
You don't.
I know.
And so maybe you should prioritize.
They
that.
did move to Houston.
Yeah. They were St. Paul.
If they come back, we might be able to do
It's all
something.
right.
That's great.
I want to go back for a second because you were talking about the transitionings, the success you're having in real estate, and all the different things that are going on. And everybody around here knows I speak for the people. Right?
Oh,
The
no.
people are always in my voice.
Always in the head,
Right? And I can hear somebody say, "Yeah, but you Jonathan Evans, right? You don't have no challenges. It wasn't a struggle for you. You just transitioned from basketball to football, and look, you made it to the NFL.
Yeah.
And all these words where as if it was easy, and it's easy, right? So let's talk to the people that think it's easy, that you didn't have a challenge, you didn't have struggles. How do we encourage them because they're thinking it's just them, it's just hard on them?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people make the mistake. They basically are, they make a social media mistake.
That's good.
The social media mistake is you look what people post and you assume that that's the reality.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality. And oftentimes it's fake, but even if it's real, in order to get to that real picture, there was a whole lot of things that had to happen before it. And so in everybody's life, there's going to be tests, trials, and testimonies. I mean, when I had to, my football thing is a long story, but that was a whole trial in and of itself. That grew me up to become a man. Not getting to accomplish your dream, not getting to make it. I was very in and out of the NFL. I was in 6 teams in 5 years. I had to go play in NFL Europe. In Germany, got paid $600 a week. When I say I came out of the NFL and I didn't have a lot of money, that should tell you, right?
That's a big
Tell you a lot. So there were some struggles there. And, people look at Joseph being second in command, in Egypt, but they don't realize that if you don't go back and read the story, then you'll make a lot of false assumptions, right? Even getting started in the transition spiritually, the only reason I went to seminary is because I tore my Achilles. I tore my Achilles trying to go back to the NFL. I was ignoring God. God was trying to get me out. My wife was like, I think you need to. And I said, no, I got a call from the Kansas City Chiefs. I said, God must be opening the door. It was like the 10th door. And I went to work out for the workout and tore my Achilles and ended up, like Jacob, when you wrestle with God, he'll change how you walk. I put on a boot and crutches and I walked in the seminary, not even being able to walk in there on my own. So it's deep, but there's a process of becoming who God wants you to become. There's a process of being in position, and we're never there, but we're continuing, right? Always. But people need to understand that that's the process, and if you don't fall in love with the journey, you won't be as great when you get to where God wants you to be. And so the journey is just as important as the destiny. And everybody's trying to jump.
Yeah. They want to fast forward.
They want to fast forward.
Yeah.
They want to fast forward, and that's why there's so many mistakes. When I did that in real estate, actually. I said, I saw the end at the beginning, and I tried to let me just buy this, and I could just, no. I lost. And in the losing, I learned how to win.
Yes.
That's how life works. That's how life works for every person. And so I think just the people who are struggling, just understand that you're under the weights. God is spotting. But those muscles are being built for what he wants you to press in the future. And so he doesn't waste anything. All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. So he doesn't waste anything. He uses everything. We just have to learn how to trust him in the process.
Yes.
Okay. There's nobody he used it in, but Noah had to build it first, didn't he?
Facts.
I mean, there's a process, and it took a long time.
Yes.
It's not overnight. Social media has this false narrative. I try to teach my kids, man, this ain't not real.
Yeah.
Right.
It takes time to become the person. You can't just push a button and just expect things to work. It takes time. And so that's why I've learned to settle down, use the turtle method in real estate, and just let it develop.
I think it's interesting that he's used his experience with the NFL and you mentioned the Mavericks. Now you're the chaplain. I'm interested to know how they pegged you as the chaplain?
Well, it's funny.
What's your
I mean,
team?
that's a whole part of the story. I asked God, why is it so hard for me to make it? I'm good enough. I was in the draft class in the Dallas Cowboys 2005. That was DeMarcus Ware and
Wow.
Marion Barber, and all. So I
Yeah.
came in with them to the Dallas Cowboys, and I was plenty good enough, but I just was struggling, either getting hurt, carted off the field. I played the Patriots, got hurt off the field. They were booing me, throwing cans at me.
No.
I traded.
They should have been like, yeah.
We was playing in Foxborough, so
He hurt. Get him out of
it was an
here.
away game for sure. But I was booed, cut, traded. I mean, everything you can think of bad was my experience with the NFL. So I had all that. So I was telling, hey God, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, why am I not able? So fast forward, I get the Achilles injury.
Yep.
I go ahead and lay it down, go to seminary. 3 months in, I get the call to come back to the Cowboys as the chaplain.
Huh.
And it was an answer to prayer because God was saying to me, the reason why I let you experience all the bad stuff and all the misery of the NFL is so that you can go back and minister there.
That's good.
You're not going to be able to hear, they're not going to tell you nothing you ain't experienced. They're not going to be able to tell you nothing. You've been cut, traded, you've been through the mud.
Right.
So I have players now that will confide in me like they won't confide in their coaches, they won't confide in their parents, they'll come to my room. I used to travel, so they would give me a hotel room. They'd come to my room because they know I know.
Yeah.
They know I know.
Firsthand.
And that makes me different than most chaplains in the league. They know I know. And Jesus was the same way. We serve a high priest who can sympathize with our weaknesses. Why? He lived it.
Yeah.
Right? He went through it. He knows what it is to be tempted, hurt, betrayed. He got all that.
Yeah.
So he will send you through the misery. My mom told me this. God will allow you to experience the misery so that you can be better for the ministry. So for anybody struggling, he needs you there for a while.
Yes.
Or you ain't gonna be no good when you get to. You'll be prideful. You won't be empathetic. You won't be sympathetic. You won't be able to minister by experience. You'll just be book knowledge. You don't want book knowledge only.
No.
They want to know what you know for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. All right, so new book, Fighting Your Battles.
yeah, fighting your battle.
Fighting Your Battles, right? You had put in there is no victory without a battle,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Take us through it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I mean, everybody wants victory.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited about. But I mean, if you don't play this game, there is no celebration. The greatest celebrations, the greatest praises come from the greatest struggles, right? I always say that the level of your praise is the level of your hell that God allowed you to go through. So we get excited about the end, but we don't want to go through the struggle. And so we talked about battles, things that I've been through. It's been easy for me.
Yeah.
So
He says he
runs
runs
it.
yeah, so our family's been going through a period. Just 2018, we probably lost like 8 to 10 people in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Starting at 18, lost my mom in 19. My dad, lost his brother, lost his sister, lost his sister's husband. I lost my cousin, who's my dad's brother's daughter, to a heart attack at 38, and she's in shape. With 4 daughters. And so we kind of started feeling like this is final destination. Like, who's next?
Yes.
We started feeling like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And so still remaining faithful through life's struggles. How do you remain faithful through life's struggles? How do you continue to trust God when things are falling apart and all the walls are caving in? And me having to preach at my mom's eulogy while looking at her and trying to give her, so it's been a battle.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle. But the only thing that I have that keeps me is the faith that I have. The faith that I have, and understanding that faith is the only. Because I don't understand how people go through it with no faith.
I don't either. Yeah.
I mean, what you're here for, you just kind of just wait until. I mean, I just don't understand where you go from there.
No.
So that faith carrying me through. So it's just just understanding that the battle that you're in is hard, but the victory, the experience of the victory is just that much sweeter when you're patient enough to realize that God is going to be the same God from the battle to the victory.
Yeah.
It's the same God.
Is that out already?
Yeah, it's out.
yeah, it's out.
Yeah. Fighting Your Battles is out. Victory. Your time is now. is out. Those are my 2 solo books, so they're both on the shelf. I'm proud of both.
There's a lot of business principles in there. So for anybody that is a business owner, you want to be a business owner, you want to be an entrepreneur, and you're trying to figure this thing out. A lot of times we'll get books and you'll just think it's just a religious book, right? A lot of people don't understand that the core business principles come out of the Bible.
Yep.
A lot of these corporations are using these biblical principles. They just not calling them that.
Yes,
And they work.
Yeah, they work. They work. They definitely work. I mean, one of my favorite ones is Joseph, that he stored up in the good season for the bad season. And most people, spend in the good season.
Yeah.
And so that's what I got when I bought in 2008. I was using that principle. This is a bad season, so let me store up some things that when the good season comes, everybody was selling.
Yeah.
All the Egyptians were selling, and they were buying it up. They were just buying it up. And so I just think that those principles in the Bible, man, they've been doing this.
Yes.
They've been doing this, and so learning those things is important. And investing, you start in the red in order to get to the black. You got to go through the battle in order to get to the victory. I mean, so you got to be willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
It's called faith.
It's called faith.
Faith journey.
Intelligent faith.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, another thing that you put in the book was you encourage people to get accountability and great counsel partners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you find, because there's a lot of people willing to co-sign all the negative stuff. You willing to get in your ear and tell you all the negative things. How do you find those good accountability partners?
Yeah. I mean, that's good. That's a searching thing. I mean, first of all, it's a praying thing. I had to do that in college. And then it's a searching thing to find people who are on your same team, in the same huddle, trying to go the same way, even if they play different positions. Right? So I still use those football principles.
But everybody can relate to that.
Yeah, everybody can relate to that. And so oftentimes we find our success with being popular than actually being purposeful. I'd rather be with.
Wait a minute, say that again.
So good.
Say that again.
I don't even remember what I said.
I'm with you, popular.
Yeah, we find our success in popularity versus being purposeful. So I can go far with you than with many that are just in your comments. People in your comments and they ain't doing that. Why are you in my comments?
We're gonna talk about the comments in a minute. We're gonna talk about the comments in a minute because you put out one recently. I don't know if it was recent, but yeah, you got some comments. We're gonna talk about the comments.
Yeah, so I just think that it's important to take the time and realize it doesn't have to be many. I can do well with 4 or 5. Jesus had plenty of different levels. He had the many, then he had the 70, then he had the 12, then he had the 3. So I just think that you need to choose your circles, but it takes work. It's not a crystal ball to it. You have to pray for it, and you have to slowly see where people are, what their interests are, what they believe, what they're doing with their life. Are they successful? Are you with people who are going? Are they already where you want to be? Or, you know what I mean? Are they way behind you? I mean, and so it's just kind of being able to do that and being able to be the small guy sometimes. You got to be the small guy. You got to go into a room where you don't understand and sit there and look dumb.
Oh,
because that's where you want to be.
People don't want to do that.
No, they don't. They never.
They come in talking, and you know what I mean. They come to the head of the table, and then they got to get embarrassed. Go back to the other side of the table. I invite you up here.
Yeah.
So you got to be willing to be the small guy.
What's the comment section? What was that?
Yeah.
We all want to know. Like,
okay, so and this is how I'm gonna say that. So I do a lot of coaching with people, and a lot of them are scared of social media. They're scared of social media for a variety of different reasons. Usually it's because they're scared the way they look, right, or what people gonna say, right. And I use this saying. I say, eagles aren't afraid of pigeons, right? Now, if you're an eagle and you can still hear the pigeon chirping, you're too low. You need to get higher, right? Just keep soaring. Don't worry about these pigeons, right? Right. So you would put out.
There's some people right now like, I hate my pigeon.
Exactly right.
That me?
That's you. And we can't hear you because we soaring, right? But you had put out a post, Jesus is God. And I was scrolling through them comments. And boy, people got things to say.
Oh, absolutely.
They got things to say. And my question is, how do you, because it don't stop you, You keep going, you keep pushing, you keep putting out content, you keep doing the things you're doing. But it will stop a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh,
A
In their
lot of
tracks.
people, they will let it stop them. How do you find that strength to keep pushing through, regardless of what these pigeons say about it?
yeah. I tell my kids too. I said, I'll let you do social media when you know who you are.
Mm.
When once you know who you are, you just give that to the world, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so, I know who I am, and so I give that to the world. It's what God's told me to do: preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, do ministry, do the other things, encourage people, build them up. So that's what I do. So I put out what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is that I put out what I do. The comments. Sometimes I'll go through and read the comments to see if I can answer a question, because I want to answer a question. But I probably looked at the Jesus is God comments once, maybe 15 rows down, but that's good. I let the comments handle it.
Right.
Y'all have your discussion, because while all the people that were in there saying no, he's not, and no, all of those different things, there was a whole lot of believers in there saying, oh, well, well, look at this person.
Yeah.
The church was getting to do it. If I have to do all the work, then I'm not doing it right. Right? So when I put things out, I allow the people in the comments to enjoy that and to have that grappling time by themselves. My job was to put it out there. Yeah, that's my job. My job was to do what I was called to do. You can be very, the comments can control your life.
Yes.
They can control your life. They can control your spirit. They can control your emotions. They can control your day, your week, your month. I mean, social media will.
Yeah.
It is an all-encompassing thing. It'll have you apologizing for stuff that's true. Right? And going back and looking to make sure, all kinds of stuff, because you're living in a house with a whole lot of different people who believe a lot of different things from a lot of different backgrounds, and you cannot please them all.
That's right.
What I want to do is please the Lord, put it out, and what I do is I shoot like this and walk away.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not posting. I'm not. I got people that are they kind of post it. I tell them, how does this caption look? That's good.
Next.
I got to go over here. I got 5 kids.
Yes.
I got to go to these basketball games. So when, like you said, when you're soaring, you don't have time.
I don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that. Yeah. And so, and I've had experiences where it did control me. Early on, when I first started, I would try to find my success in the comments.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
First, it's how many views did it get? Then it gets a lot of views. Then you go, well, there's a lot of comments, but like 1,000 comments in here. So then I'm like, okay, let me see it. You want to see, oh man, that was it. Great. You want to see the fire emojis.
Yeah.
You want to see the hearts. You want to see, all of that.
I want to get puffed up.
And when you see, oh no, this is it. I did a little clip on submitting to my wife. Ooh.
Oh,
I gotta find that one.
oh boy.
And I said, and I used the word submission on purpose. I said, it's easy for me to submit to my wife. And when I said that, people went bananas, right? Because obviously, structurally, submission is one way, all those kind of
Church folk clicked on it.
Man, they went bananas in there. I said, because if you don't understand the word helpmate, which is the same word used of the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit's job is to lead you and guide you in truth. So if you don't understand that, then you won't know what she's there for, and you'll never submit because you'll just stay in the structure,
Yeah.
right? But I did was I just put out I'll submit to my wife, and here's why. And I gave up like a sentence. And got walked off. They was all in the comments going wild and stuff like that. And the people was in there, but the Bible says to submit to one to another. They were like that. So they were going bananas. But I let them have that.
Yes.
And my point was, situational and structural are 2 different types of submissions, right? So that if you don't listen, if she's telling the truth, and you're like, nah, I ain't supposed to. That's dumb. She brought you the truth. You need to do that.
Right.
That's good leadership. It's very simple, but sometimes I'll do that on purpose just because sometimes I'll get back to the comments.
Yes.
So it's a fun thing, but when you're right. When you're soaring, you put out what God tells you to do. I tell my kids the same way. Why can't I get on social media? I said, because you're following trends. And if you're following trends, you ain't ready. It'll crush you.
Yes.
It's good. Man.
All right. Woo! I can't believe time just be flying. It just flies by. So Last question, final question is what we ask everybody.
Okay.
When it's all said and done, when Jonathan is laying down and he knows God is calling him home, how will you have defined success?
That Jonathan was a big giver. He gave of his time, talent, and treasure. I want people to, when I'm laying up there, but I'm really up there, I want people to be saying, man, you wouldn't, the line to be long. Man, Jonathan did this for me, and people are just wow, like, man, how did he accomplish all of this for the lives of people, starting first with my wife and my children? I want them to say he's a great father. I want people to say he was a big giver, and my life is different because he was here. David served the purposes of God. He made an impact on his generation before he fell asleep. Right. So I want my life to look like that.
That's awesome. We cannot thank you enough for taking the time. And we know you're busy, but thank you
No, thank
again.
you.
We appreciate it very much.
I'm trying to be with y'all.
Always so gracious.
Hey y'all, thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the RealT podcast. If you like it, please like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye y'all.